You got the raise. You ran the numbers that night. 6 months later, same pressure, same ceiling, same feeling that the income still isn't quite enough. Hedonic adaptation. You received that raise and changed nothing. Same rent, same habits, same tracking system. Researchers studying income satisfaction found the pressure returned anyway within 3 to 6 months. The spending didn't reset them. Something ran before spending had a chance. The obvious story feels correct. You allowed a little more, loosened the rules slightly, told yourself the margin had finally arrived. A version of that story is true, but it doesn't explain the people who changed nothing and still lost the raise. There is a process underneath the decision. It doesn't wait for permission. Hedonic adaptation, the baseline engine. Your brain reclassifying income. It doesn't respond to what you bought, it responds to what you earned, consistently, long enough to register as the new minimum. Here is what that means right now. The raise you received 8 months ago has been moved, not spent, reclassified. Your brain filed it from extra to required, quietly, automatically, before any plan you made that night could execute. It is not a gain anymore. It is the floor. Over 5 years, the income that disappears through this reclassification, passing through the account, producing no net worth movement, not lost to a decision, filed as normal by a process that completed before you noticed it had started. One thing this doesn't explain: why does financial pressure increase as salary rises, not decrease? The confirmation arrived, a larger number appeared. The plan was specific, it had allocations written down. 4 months later, the account moves exactly as it always has. Every week the income is higher than 2 years ago. Every week the ceiling is identical. The financial damage and the psychological damage are the same reclassification. Extra became required, and the account reflects that without a single obvious decision causing it. The viewer who tracks net worth, knows the difference between income and wealth, read the material, is running this exact loop, not from inattention, because the system that processes income into baseline definitions operates before the prefrontal cortex receives the signal. The spreadsheet runs on intention. The baseline engine does not. The open question remains: why more income, more pressure? Here is what the mechanism alone doesn't surface. Hedonic adaptation doesn't reset to neutral, it resets to expectation, and expectations compound upward. After the first raise reclassifies, the brain begins calculating forward. The next raise is now anticipated at a higher level. The relief it would produce requires a larger number to generate the same psychological movement the first raise did before it was filed as required. Each completed cycle raises the threshold. 6 years into a rising salary, the viewer is not 6 years ahead psychologically. They are working against a baseline that has moved faster and further than the salary did, requiring exponentially more income to register what a 15% raise once felt like. The pressure increases at higher income because the target moved. Every raise that completed a full reclassification cycle made the next one feel smaller, not because the amounts shrank, because the threshold grew. The viewer is not standing still, they are moving against a resistance their own salary history created. The mechanism has one structural weakness. In the 72 hours after a raise is confirmed, before the brain begins encoding the new number as the new floor, the reclassification has not started. That is the only window in the entire cycle where extra has not yet become required. A standing transfer, activated on the first paycheck carrying the new salary, capturing 40 to 60% of the raise increment, not the full salary, only the delta, intercepts the encoding before it completes. The baseline never receives that portion. A reclassification process cannot run on income it never processes as normal. If the transfer isn't active before that first paycheck, the window closes. The next raise follows the same path.
The second interference is architectural. The mechanism requires the raise to enter the same account, appear as the same number, flow through the same system, to be experienced as salary. Routing the increment to a separate account at payroll before the primary account receives it removes it from the reclassification input entirely. One payroll instruction, the baseline calculates on the original salary because that is all it ever sees. The third interference targets the reference itself. Hedonic adaptation uses current income as its primary recalibration input. A brain-shown net worth velocity instead, compound movement tracked as a rate, not a salary figure, has no stable income floor to reset to. Replace the income number on the dashboard with a net worth rate of change. The mechanism loses the variable it depends on. The 72-hour window, the structural separation, the reference replacement. 3 points where the process is exposed. Miss all 3, and the raise completes its reclassification uninterrupted. You got the raise, you ran the numbers that night. That was hedonic adaptation, already moving the new salary from extra to required. The last time a raise confirmation arrived, now you know exactly which system was already running before you opened the calculator. This video is for educational purposes only.